All right, welcome back to Trading Rolly Bitcoin. In a little bit of a pullback, the crypto market has pulled back a little in the past day or two, but that weekly candle close, beautiful. After breaking 20K resistance, nice breakout candle, nice close. So we're still in a bullish posture, still above all moving averages. We'll look at the technicals for that. Also, I had a special request for an XRPBTC pair. I'll also look at the ETH BTC pair. Haven't looked at the BTC pairs in a while, mostly been focused on USD. So we'll take a look at that at the end of the video. We'll do the headlines, the Bitcoin breakdown, then some BTC pairs for you. So hit that like, comment, subscribe, tick the bell for notifications. Remember, these are my own ideas and opinions on the market. So please do your own research. Trade at your own risk. I am not your financial advisor. All right, let's look at the market. Last 24 hours, Bitcoin down 4%, Ethereum down 6%, XRP back below 50 cents. This is not what we wanted to see. We wanted 50 cents to hold support for XRP. Down 14%, not good. LTC, Litecoin down 10%, Bitcoin Cash 18%. There's blood in the streets. So will we look to buy this blood, or is this a time to, get out of the markets? We'll take a look at the charts. If you ask me, I'm long-term bullish on all of the crypto, and I'm mostly doing portfolio management, long-term investing. So I'm looking for opportunities to add to my positions as a long-term investment. So with the majors and Bitcoin, on the dips could be a good buying opportunity. We'll look at the technicals to support that. All right. Crypto Fear and Greed Index dropped down to an 88. Still extreme greed, but this is the lowest we have been this past month. That's for sure. Let's see if we can get that to load for me here. This is the past month. All right, let's look at the yearly. So we see we've been chopping up high for a while, taking a little dip. The lowest we've been this month, I think, but you can see there's still an uptrend there. We're at the ceiling. We've been at the ceiling, so the pullback might be expected. We've seen some bearish divergence, but we're still above those moving averages. So we're still above support, and I have a headline that also has commentary on this subject of pullbacks. We're going to look at this altcoin season index. I think it's actually pretty interesting. It's at blockchaincenter.net. Right now it's saying we're 20, so that we're in a Bitcoin season. Bitcoin's outperforming altcoins. And you can look at by the month, by the season, or by the year. And you can see that this is like a chart. This is the past year, altcoin season, the Bitcoin season. We're deep in that Bitcoin season. Let's look at all time. So when you're generally deep in this Bitcoin season, you end up obviously going back to the upside at some point, going towards an altcoin season. So it's a matter of time. It's not yet. Bitcoin is outperforming. One way, so the way they do this is, so for the season, on the left side of the screen, you have the coins outperforming Bitcoin, and on the right side, the ones that underperform. Bitcoin performed better than all of these. So for the season, the last 90 days, Bitcoin has outperformed these. So you're better off holding Bitcoin than holding any of these altcoins. There were a few winners there. In the past month, you could look at the same thing. It's pretty much the same, only a few winners. Bitcoin has been dominant, and also we can look at the last year, okay? So in the last year, Ethereum, Link, Cardano, Stellar, Monero, these all have outperformed, but a majority of coins have underperformed. So we'll keep our eye on this, okay? I think it's pretty cool. Couple headlines. Hit that like for me. Kim.com. This guy's an interesting guy. That's not the headline. Okay. All right. Global equity head at Jefferies says the investment bank will buy Bitcoin and reduce exposure to gold. Another headline of big money, institutional money, investment bank preferring Bitcoin over gold. sums up the article right there. And guys, you know me, I don't read too much into these articles. I look at the charts. The headlines usually tell me enough. I just scan through headlines, all right? Bitcoin correction unlikely amid institutional investment wave, says JP Morgan. JP Morgan talking good again about Bitcoin, but unlikely correction. So in the previous bull run, we saw several 30% corrections in 2016, 2017. But on this next wave, we obviously, with every upside, there's going to be some type of correction, but maybe these corrections won't be as severe because things are a little different. I know we hate the saying, oh, it's different this time, but it is, because now we have investments from institutions and large hedge funds, billionaire investors, PayPal, Square, Grayscale. This is way different than the previous time. So, and then we have the supply shock, where right after the halving was back in May, making it twice as hard to mine new Bitcoin. 18 million Bitcoin have been mined, only 3 million left, which will be dispersed over the next 100 years. There's not a lot out there available, and the institutions have the money to buy it up. So maybe we won't see 30% corrections. Maybe there'll be 15%. I don't know, but this is a little bit different. Grayscale halts investments in Bitcoin and Ethereum trust. So this was interesting to see. Only will affect people holding GBTC. If you're holding this, through traditional markets on the stock market, you can basically buy GBTC. It follows the price of Bitcoin, but there's been a big premium on this. And what's happening is there was a 6-month lockup period. So whatever shares you bought, you couldn't sell them for 6 months. That 6-month lockup period is ending right now, so people will be able to sell. And at the same time, they're halting anyone new buying. So you're going to have sellers entering and no new buyers. So the price of GBTC, not necessarily Bitcoin, but GBTC, could, I don't know, just from what I'm reading here, could have a little bit of a pullback. It is trading at a premium. Where was it? It's trading at, I don't know, I think I saw a 30% premium above NAV. Okay, so it was trading at a 30% premium above its net asset value. So it has a net asset value of X and it's trading 30% higher. That could come back down closer to that NAV. And we were talking about that with Bitwise. So Bitwise did have an extreme pullback. It's still trading at a ridiculous premium. Moving on, the Ledger hack. I couldn't do a video without going over Ledger. They got hacked. Not, you didn't lose your crypto, but you had your email phished. And basically, it's the same thing we saw with the BitMEX thing. They can find your email, and they can search that same email across all platforms. If they can find your password on one of those platforms, they could try that password out on every single platform with that same email. And if you use the same password on every platform, well, you're in trouble. And then another customer is saying they've been threatened with home invasion, so their privacy has been leaked. They weren't really concerned about the hack until they started getting 3 to 4 emails a day, 5 to 6 text messages a day. Their personal information is out there. I personally do not have a Ledger, and I'll keep my the way I the way I hold my crypto. I'm going to keep that to myself. I have considered Ledger. Ledger is one of the more popular ones. There's a guy, Crypto Zombie, gives away a Ledger Nano S every Monday for the past few years. So, anyways, let's keep it moving. Let's look at the chart. Guys, hit that like for me. I've had a bunch of new subscribers recently. Thank you guys. We'll look at the chart. And look, I do want to mention real quick, on Wednesday, I'm taking my Finra exam. The SIE exam is a financial exam. Learned a lot. I mean, I know about options, all the retirement accounts. I mean, all these rules, regulations. It's been quite a lot. I'll take the exam, and if I pass it, I will pass it. I'm scoring 90% higher on all of the practice exams, of course. But once that happens, I'll be applying to lots of different types of jobs and just putting this out there in the open. Whether it's, an analyst job, if I could get a trading job, with a firm or, investment bank. I don't know. I'm open to a lot of opportunities, even the crypto. I know the crypto jobs may not require a FINRA SIE exam, but I still feel like it would be nice to have on the resume. I've spent the time learning. Anyways, I just want to pat myself on the back. It's been a long time coming. I've been working on that. All right. I'll keep you updated, okay? Hopefully there's no conflict of interest going down the road. I'll let you know. So, I digress. Weekly chart. Look at that breakout. You had a horizontal resistance at the all-time high, of course. Consolidated right beneath it. Had an ascending triangle. You can see that clearly on the daily. And you broke out. And after a breakout, a little bit of consolidation. Let's just measure this triangle here. So a measured move with using that triangle takes you right where we went. So the measured move played out, hitting consolidation. And where are we going to bounce from? Where's the supports? That's what we want to know, okay? So what ideally we'd like to stay above 19,500. Resistance, flipped, support. Ideally, all right? That's where I would never like to go below that ever again. It's possible. You can see here you peaked right above that previous all-time high in 2013, 2016, just above it at the end of that year. It's actually January, March 2017. Anyways, poked your head above, had a 30% pullback, and then marched and never looked back. Could we be looking at the same thing? Well, a 30% pullback from the top there. Let's see. 30% would be around 16,492 if we pulled back from there. But maybe it's different. PayPal, Square, Grayscale are buying more Bitcoin each week than there is Bitcoin being mined each week. I think that's probably different than back here. I don't think the retail whales were buying more Bitcoin than being mined. So, we have had a dip here. Looking at the daily, pulled back from the top here about to the bottom, already almost 10%. Could we trickle down a little further? Possibly. But do we have to come back down 16,000, a huge 30K? Might not happen. Ideally, resistance flip support, you keep this massive uptrend. 19,500, I would want to hold support. If it drops below that, I would be a little more concerned. All right. So another thing you could look at before I do my moving averages, stochastics, yada, yada. We could look at the fib retrace just to see, what would these levels be possibly for a retracement. Let's see. So what we would do, we can do one from the bottom to the top, roughly. Your 236 is down at 19,668. So from the swing low to swing high, that's a reasonable target, and it would be a support flipped resistance flip support horizontal. So this would be perfectly normal if we end up coming down here. It doesn't have to be like a immediate, like sharp down. In fact, if it comes down super hard right now, it would scare me. But if we could like just make our way down here over the next couple weeks, month, and then get a bounce, that would look great. The 382 though is at 16,644. So that would be basically that 30% pullback was in that region. Your 0.5 would be 14,200 and still maintaining this 2019 wick high resistance flip support. So that makes sense again. And then ultimately your golden retrace would be 11,757. I don't think we'll get there because Michael Saylor will not let us go to 11,000. No way, Michael Saylor. This guy buying so much Bitcoin, he even took out loans to buy Bitcoin. I mean, he sold some bonds or some notes. Basically, he took out loans to buy Bitcoin. Great interest rates. You're getting near zero interest rates these days. So, he's not paying a lot of interest on that. But I don't think those guys are going to let it go down here. That's the difference, I think. So anyways, those are your levels using fib retracements. It's been 16 minutes. All right, let's look at our Bitcoin indicators and look at those XRPBTC pairs, ETH BTC pairs, wrap it up. All right. So we looked at our drawings, horizontals. Let's take a look at the weekly moving averages. We know we're above all moving averages, so as long as you're above, that's bullish. Your pink 10 simple rising to 17,970, so immediate weekly support coming around 18,000. Yellow 21 EMA, this is the most crucial, is at 15,583. So don't want to go below this level personally to maintain the bull market argument. I think we all agree we're in a bull market, but if you close a weekly below that, see bull market? Not a bull market. So you don't want to close below 15,583. Your stochastic is high, is hinting cross down. Whoop, what am I doing? All right, there we go. You got a slight cross, lots of time left in this week. This could change. We'll have to see if we go lower, it will cross down. Excuse me. Otherwise, it doesn't have to. But you can see, let's look at the this bull run here. It can oscillate up in the bullish zone. So if it's oscillating, above 50, it's still bullish, okay? Same with the RSI. It could go to overbought, and then it comes down and bounces in that 50 mid-range, just, bouncing in that upper zone here. It's still bullish, okay? So yeah, we might come down and then bounce. So if we get that pullback, maybe we come back down to that 19,500, around 18,000, right around here. Okay. Your daily, let's look at the daily. The daily is crossed down, and we've seen this already starting to play out. So you do have some bearish divergence potentially here, where you have the price rising and the RSI is dipping. The only reason I say potentially is if price bounced here and rose higher, right? If you went higher there, this RSI can go higher too. It's only going to be obvious in hindsight if we go down this way. And you're like, oh yeah, look. High, lower high, high, higher high, bearish divergence in hindsight. So if you're bear, see, this is the thing. Bear signals are not good in a bull market. Now, if we were in a bear market like 2018 and you were just putting in lower high after lower high and you saw bearish divergence in a bear trend, that's a great signal. But bearish divergence, Stoke cross downs from the top in a bull market will fake you out. But in a bull market, bullish divergence, which we saw in the 4-hour, back here before we took off, or a cross up on the stochastic in a bull market is a great signal, okay? So another kind of way to say trend is your friend, if all that makes sense. If you've been following these videos, they do make sense. Practice makes perfect. All right. Looking at the moving averages, above all moving averages, pink 10 simple support 21,800, yellow 21 EMA 20,688. We'd like to hold that support above those levels like you saw here. I like the volume that came from there. Okay, so we'll just see if we can bounce. The stimulus package was weak. We're not getting $1,200 checks. We're getting $600 checks. 900 billion instead of like 2 trillion, 3 trillion. And then on top of that, we had in the stock market the UK mutant virus strain scare. So if you look at this is stock S&P futures, you actually had a drop after the stimulus was announced last night, and then in the early mornings the UK virus. So early morning for us is when the UK market is trading, and the UK market was panicking about all these countries banning flights, and you could see that in the futures chart on the stocks. And then basically the stock bounced. You can see that was the futures. This is the actual S&P open during Wall Street hours. Futures are opened extended hours. S&P, the SPX is just Wall Street hours. It bounced, okay? So it ended right here after bouncing, making up all that loss. And you can see consolidating. It might continue higher. We'll have to see what happens. So maybe Bitcoin was being pulled down by this macro systematic market risk that affects all assets, All right. I don't think it's going to be as bad as the March 2020 Black Swan event. Okay. It's still the same virus. It's not as deadly. We have vaccines on the way. And we all brushed off. We had a huge dump in March 2020, but what happened after that? Up, up, and up, and up. So people are ready to buy. And then we had the stimulus on top of that. So that's how the stock market, I think, is playing the game. And Bitcoin also happened to be pulling back and happened to be bouncing, as the same as stocks. Sometimes Bitcoin is very correlated to the stock market, and some days it's not, obviously. Okay, so bouncing there, but you did have that cross. We are looking at the bullish divergence or bearish divergence possibly. Just want to stay above those key levels of support there. Looking at a closer time frame, 4 hour, closing below the yellow 21 EMA was bearish. You ended up coming all the way back, all the way down to the blue 50 simple. Once you closed there, it came down to 50 simple basically and bounced back up and met resistance there, and now under resistance. You can see that. See how that works out? Get a close, next target. Bounced, retest, resistance, and still resistance. So yellow 21 EMA 4 hour resistance 2300. Need to get a 4 hour close above $2,344. Pink 10 SMA 23,336. So get a 4 hour close above both of those. And then a 4 hour stoke. You're going to need that 4 hour stoke to cross back up and get this RSI to bounce. The RSI in the neutral zone. RSI in neutral zone could get a bounce here. If you drop down lower into the bearish zone, it will be a little more bearish. You might retest that support 21,789 on a 4 hour time frame. Maybe you create a little range in between these two moving averages. If you lose that level, get a 4 hour close below the 50 simple, could retest down to the 200 EMA 200 simple, around 19,400, lining up, moving up to that 19,500 horizontal. You can see that lining up right there. All right, so that's Bitcoin. Wow, already 25 minutes. So I'll just spend 5 minutes real quick to look at the XRPBTC, ETH BTC. So the Bitcoin dominance, though, I will have to say, I was watching this rising trend line, and then I put a horizontal at that previous high there. Yesterday we were underneath it. Your stoke is high, your RSI is high. Possibly could have got turn down there, but Bitcoin dominance is actually breaking out and putting in a higher high above that resistance. I think, eventually you will have to come down. You've seen each time here, it'll cross down, but we haven't got to cross down on dominance yet, okay? And it's breaking higher. And this is all as we're getting a pullback. So Bitcoin has pulled back by, let's say, what was it? You can see it here, 4%, and then altcoins are 6, 13, 10, 18. So the Bitcoin held its value better than the altcoins. Altcoins fell harder, so the dominance on Bitcoin risen. Now, if Bitcoin can consolidate, in this region here, 22, 23, 24, chop sideways, say we have something like this and we chop sideways, that may give investors confidence to get back into the altcoins. And maybe that's when you see the Bitcoin dominance turn back over, come down, and the altcoins have their day. Possibly. Now, if we continue to fall to that 30% pullback, you're going to see the dominance continue to rise here. And altcoins are going to get beaten down badly. And XRP below 50 cents on the XRP USD 50 cents was not something we wanted to see. So if you look at that on the weekly, take off our moving averages. I should have some horizontals. I mean, you can see before we did wick below it and then close back above. We still have plenty of time in this weekly candle. You could potentially wick below, close back above again. But 50 cents was this previous resistance. Oh, excuse me. Unedited, live, recorded, and then sent to you later. All right. So the resistance, we want to flip that as support. You can see the 80 cents resistance is the level to beat down the road. I would like to see this held. This isn't everything. Horizontals, they play out often, but they're just another indicator. We got to look at them all combined. So let's look at the XRP BTC. There's a lot of variables with using BTC pairs. Okay, but they can be used if you want, especially if you're looking to hold maybe a majority of your allocation in Ethereum, or because you think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin, or if you think XRP will outperform Bitcoin, you could hold a majority of your portfolio in XRP. And maybe you switch it over when you know that Bitcoin is going to lead the show. You put a majority into Bitcoin. And then when the season switches, you can move a majority into XRP if that's the way you want to play. That's one way to do it. Also, previous years, I've traded the BTC pairs on leverage, which I don't like. I don't like trading it on leverage because what happens is you can predict using the BTC pair chart, you can see that possibly you're going to get a bounce like, okay, XRP, BTC, RSI oversold, your Stokes low. Say I get a cross up here, some bull divergence here, pretty confident that BTC is going to rise here. But something can completely destroy that. BTC can just pump really hard, just really like a 5-6% pump hard, which will drop this XRP BTC hard, and then XRP USD catches up. It might even end up outperforming Bitcoin, but because Bitcoin made the move first, the pair dropped hard, and then it bounces afterwards. So you were correct in the movement. But if you're on margin, which usually you're looking at much smaller time frames, tighter stops, you could get stopped out, lose money, and then it goes in the direction you want. So I stopped charting the BTC pairs looking at margin. But if you're doing it for a portfolio strategy, I get it. I get it. Look at the 4 hour. You do have the, so we'll get into the, so I had to explain how you would use those possibly, in my opinion, okay? So we'll do the indicators real quick. XRP, lower lows on the 4 hour chart. If it gets a bounce here, you could have a bullish divergence with this. You see a low and a higher low. If the RSI bounced right here, you could get that bullish divergence on the 4 hour. Your Stoch is crossed down. You're going to need that Stoch to cross back up. Obvious resistance. It's below all these all moving averages, below all moving averages. So the 4 hour needs that bull divergence, cross up on the 4 hour, get back above at least the 10 simple, above the yellow 21, get above all these moving averages and start climbing higher. That's what you need on the 4 hour. On the daily, your pair, it did make a new high. You had lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high. Broke that structure. At least you broke that structure. Came up, tagged. You had this support, now flipped resistance around 4,195 Satoshis. Another complicated part of trading in Bitcoin. You know, 0.1 BTC, 0.001 BTC is easy to calculate, but we're talking about 4,000 Satoshis. This is also what's going to make it very difficult for Bitcoin when Bitcoin's worth 200,000 one day and people have like, I have 10,000 Satoshis. I don't know. We're going to have to all agree on a certain metric. Anyways, one to bounce here, and then you would have a low and a higher low. So you finally have lower highs broken, new high, high, higher high, low. You need a higher low. Okay. Let's look at the daily, back below all moving averages on the daily as well. You need to bounce here. Your daily Stoch cross down. You need to bounce, but it's crossed down, so you know doesn't look good right now. Could things change? We hope so. And then if it does bounce, you need to get back above all these moving averages. All right, need to get back above the yellow 21 EMA, 2,621 Satoshis. Get back above that so you can climb back up there. All right, that's that on XRP. We'll do one more for Ethereum BTC because, like I said, this is for me better for a portfolio standpoint. And for a portfolio standpoint, I would only look at maybe the majors. I'm not trying to trade BTC pairs on random altcoins. There's too much, like I said, too many variables. Too many. Like I was doing this back in the good old days on BitMEX. I've made good money on BCH, BTC pair. You know, I've done well, but I was tired of being right in my technical analysis and getting stopped out because some crazy wick because of, you know, unforeseen price action with Bitcoin affecting the coin. So I prefer trading in USD personally. Ethereum daily, Stoch down low, RSI down low. So the ETH BTC eventually should get a bounce. You do have a support level right here. I can see it. Here's we'll make it green. Resistance, flipped support. Okay. So you would like to see this hold support, bounce, get that daily to bounce, RSI to bounce. And finally on the 4 hour, your Stoch is low, RSI low, you know, basically potential bullish divergence happening here. Excuse me. And your Stoch looking to cross up. So it's only a matter of time. Hopefully it gets a bounce there on that support. So ideally putting all of the charts together. Hopefully Bitcoin's just going to consolidate. Stock market bounces, shakes off the UK scare. We start focusing on the stimulus, Christmas rally, and BTC consolidates, and the altcoins have a chance to break out even higher. So if we get all of that to happen, in the next video, we'll look back at the USD altcoin charts to see our targets. And if not, we might have to look at some support levels on the altcoin USD charts pretty soon. Thank you for watching another information-packed video. Happy holidays. Rolly roll.